on yet.
Oh,
We're live.
We're live.
practice.
Good.
Now we're live now.
We are live now, yes. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to House Government Operations and Military Affairs. We are picking up this packet. And our first order of business is H 762, an act relating to the County and Regional Governance Study Committee. We've been working on this one for a couple of weeks. I had asked Senator Harrison to join us as the amended language that we are considering. The vote is something that we had worked on together. Senator Harrison has been on the study committee longer than I have, so she has more experience with the nuance. So we were bringing her in just to speak a little bit about the words on the page, but also a little bit of context within the project itself. So with that, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So for the record, Wendy Harrison, and I represent the Wyndham District, and thank you for having me. And I was on the original committee, and we only had 3 meetings. It seemed like we did more. But if you're interested, I would recommend watching the video of the 3rd meeting. I think we made some good progress then. So would you like me to go through the changes?
Yeah, I mean, we already reviewed them with council, but
Okay.
if you wanted to, you could discuss like a little bit of like just the thought process behind it.
Okay, I will. So I think the legislative intent is important because Vermont has a special situation with the state and the towns, in my opinion. I've lived in other states and worked in other states in government, and the state can be very accessible to towns. And so when I've heard about folks' concerns with this thought or this idea, they've been worried that this would create a barrier between the state and the towns. So I have a really complicated oh gosh, I did it wrong. Okay, we're gonna. I have a structure where you show the state and the town.
Mhm.
You have connection. I believe county governance should not be here in between the state and the town, but rather over here where it is currently. Actually, there's very few areas where you have to go through the county to do a state function. But we could certainly be a lot more effective, in my opinion. We have, there are some state agencies that are, some state functions that are done by agencies that are not agencies of the state. Like transit authorities, for example, the state contracts for those transit authorities, but the funding is federal. It has a lot of strings. And so those entities are required to do things in accordance with the federal government. The designated agencies are similar to that, where they provide a state function through contract. And then there are other types of contracts, just like purchasing contracts, that are not in that category. So it does get complicated, but it's if we focus on the authority and the responsibility of our services with the goal to make our services better and simplify the systems, that's where I think we can make the most progress and bang for the buck.
Yeah, no, thank you. And it's like, this is just, as we've discussed many, many times, this is just setting this study committee up for future work, tailing off of what's been done to this point. Rep. Hooper, bro.
So aren't there already existing links between like the transit authority, transportation, designated agencies, mental health? It's still a feeder system through state government for those, right?
Yes.
Is there anything to your knowledge that actually stands alone that has a county locus?
I doubt it because of the funding. because the funding comes from the federal government and that would come through the state. But there probably is. There are lots of, there are so many, when you start looking at all of the entities, the conservation districts are a good example because they actually are a state entity, but they're not, they're not, you know, they have to find their own house or their own place to do operations, and their funding is separate. It doesn't go through the county tax model. But no, I don't. And a concern that I have with some of the agencies where the state contracts, there's not local accountability, even though they're providing local services. And again, I'm pretty focused on transportation, but that's not the only thing. And something that we did this year in the Senate was we had, and we did it with House committees too. We had committees of different jurisdictions have joint meetings to talk about the same thing. So for example, health and welfare talked and transportation got together to talk about the needs for people, the transportation needs to access healthcare, because those are significant. And so we made some progress actually, and we changed some laws and provided some funding, and folks are able to access medical care better because we did that.
Any other questions from the senator?
Do you want me to talk about just public safety and the sheriff at all, or?
Please.
So, obviously, I'm sure this committee is well aware of our situation in regard to dispatch. I'm not suggesting that this committee solve that. That's a big issue, but I do think that this committee needs to at least acknowledge it, because it's important. And the genesis of this committee originally had a pretty big public safety focus to it. And we just passed out the sheriff's bill, the pilot for Windham County. It's just a pilot, just for Windham County. But it does include a measure of at least transparency with there would be a board established of towns who would want to have services. And so that board would meet in public. It would be made up of select board members. So there is some transparency in that. And so depending on how that works and what they find out and what they recommend, that I see that group feeding into this group.
Was that bill number?
I think 255 maybe. Is that?
I'm not 100%
Just
sure. We will be the committee of jurisdiction once that comes over to us though.
You'll get it very soon.
Yes. And yes, that is a pilot program that, not to keep reusing this term, but I'm kind of like, gee, right now, it'll like dovetail into this work, right? Like it is something that is within the same vein of what is trying to be sussed out, assessed, and worked on.
Well, sheriffs are probably the best example of semi-autonomous, although they still have a funding stream. They also have a independent funding stream, not the state, but their own activities. So it's
Exactly. And
that's the
so,
closest thing I've come to your county base.
and the judges in the courts.
Yeah.
Right. And let me just explain a little bit about that, Bill, since I'm here. Is in Windham County, we're actually really rural. I don't know if you've been, like, you got to get off of 91, but we're very rural and similar to the Northeast Kingdom in that way. We found that out in the redistricting task force, just how geographically similar we are. So we have 3 police departments in the whole county. So most of our towns, vast majority of our towns don't have police. It used to be that when they would call 911, the sheriff, or not the sheriff, the state police would come. And that really isn't happening these days. They're very, very short staffed. So towns have relied on the sheriff for, on a contract basis for services, that gets difficult to administer and it's hard to hire people when they're only 1-year contracts and when they're specific to a town. So this will allow, it's completely voluntary. Towns who want to contract with the sheriff, they can contract for a longer period of time. There would be a board that would have oversight over the service. That's where the transparency comes in. And they would be able to have longer contracts and just more effective contracts. And it was the towns who want it. The towns want this. We have from.
Oh, yes, a lot of municipalities are. Yes. Anything else for the senator? Thank you so much for the time.
Thank you so much.
Okay, team. So to the words on the page, do we have, I'm gonna read through it myself. Just to scan and make sure. So many tabs open. Oh, there we go. We might need Tim to clean this up.
You mean highlights or words?
Yeah, I'll like take out the highlights. But it's the same draft. There won't be any changes. Procedural question from the Brain Trust. That can be done after the fact because we're not changing the words, correct?
Right.
Yes,
Yeah, like-
okay.
We just did that with 686. Voted on a draft that was still the highlights, but the House clerk just made it without the highlights, so it's just.
Okay, no, I just wanted to like make sure my brain was processing that one correctly. Okay, so barring any other comment or discussion on this one, yes, I will move that we find favorable H76. Sorry. Oh my God. Focus, dude. Draft number 1.2 H762.
Oh. This question,
Sure, Rep. Coffin.
if it's gonna get cleaned up and the strikeouts removed and the highlights removed, does that change the draft number?
No, because we're not actually, yeah, they're just tightening.
We're not amending it again.
Oh, that's what we were just kind of
That's
doing it. Yeah. Verifying.
my head.
No. Valid. Yes. Okay. So finding H set 6. H762.
There you go.
Draft number 1.2. An act relating to the County and Regional Governance Study Committee. Favorable. Oh, that's one and done, brother. Barring no further discussion or commentary, the clerk will call the roll.
Representative Boyden, yes. Representative Coffin,
Yes,
Representative Hango,
Yes.
Representative Hooper of Randolph. Representative Hooper of Burlington,
yes.
Representative Morgan,
Yes.
Representative Nugent,
Yes.
Representative Pincinel,
Yes.
Representative Stone,
Yes.
Representative Waters Evans, Representative Byram,
Yes.
10-0-1.
All right.
Yes.
That's great. And I'll put us on break till 1:30 and then we will go into the conversation, discussion and possible vote for draft number 26-0551, an act relating to alcohol.